Y'all stay with me on this one. So the baby boomers and the Gen X's, our parents and grandparents, are always saying this generation's so lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to do anything. Why would we? Because look at what the system has done us. We're burnout. Gen Zs don't want to work because they see how burnout the millennials are because they can't get ahead in today's world. Okay? Y'all come from a society where you worked, you could afford a house, you could afford a family, you could take your family on vacation, you had a nice car, and you worked 40 hours a week, off every weekend. Now what's even crazier to me is you got people that are making $100,000, $120,000, $150,000 a year that can't afford a house because houses are $100,000 houses now $400,000. They can't even get approved for it. Then you got kids that the Gen X is pushing college. So these kids go to college, then they get out of college. For one, if they can even find work, they find work, it's a good paying job, but now student loans eating up their paycheck. So what's the sense? If we can't get ahead in life, no wonder nobody wants to work. No wonder Gen Z don't want to work. They're burnt out. Millennials are burnt out. It's a failing system that has failed us miserably. That's the difference between the baby boomers from Gen X and millennials and Gen Z.
As much as older people, your parents, the government, hey, anybody who's labeled a boomer, Gen X, all those types of people, they like to label the younger generation, Gen Z, millennials, Gen Alpha, anything after that, as lazy sacks of shit. When in reality, the majority of people in these age groups are just burnt out. It's not that they're lazy. It's not that they're entitled. It's not that they feel like they deserve millions of dollars for doing nothing. They are just burnt out. And they see everybody else around them doing the exact same routine, the exact same structure, the exact same game plan that does not seem to work for anybody after them, before them, or right now during this current lifestyle that we're all seeming to be drifting through. Not really living, just drifting. There's not really much lifestyle when it comes to no extra money, because unfortunately the world that we've been born into is completely ruled by the amount of dollars, the amount of pennies, the amount of weird made-up currency that you have in your bank account. If you don't have enough, the bank's going to give you a charge. I got a charge. I didn't have enough money in my savings because literally at $0. So they charged me $5. I'm now negative $5 because I didn't have enough money in my accounts. This made up money, guys. It will make up ways to keep you behind. And it's just some random account I didn't really use for a while, but now I gotta owe them $5 for some bullshit. It's a crazy reality that we're living in. So when you see a lot of people work, and what are they really working for? They're working to pay off bills. They're working for their Klarna payments off that burrito that they couldn't afford, they shouldn't have got anyway. I know, you guys are gonna say, you shouldn't be doing that. When you don't see much hope for tomorrow, which we're going to speak about hope here in this next segment, there's not really much reason why you're not going to be gambling all your life savings away. Why you're not going to be spending your last $20 on that DoorDash meal, even though you know it's not really worth it. Why you're not going to be, why people have 20 unread messages and 100,000 emails, but they don't have the ambition, the courage, and the dedication to read through them, because when they get off of work, all they have the energy for is to lay down and get ready for tomorrow.
Z thinks, yeah, I watched what happened to my parents' career, and I watched what happened to my older sister's career, and they worked very hard, and they still got laid off. I was talking to a 25-year-old woman who does some freelance work for us the other day, and she said to me, can you please make an Instagram reel about burnout? My friends and I are just so burnt out. And I just looked at her, I said, you're 25? And I said, you're burnt out? She's just so burnt out. So I said, I don't want to sound like an oldster, but when I was your age, I worked 7 days a week, nonstop. And the word burnout never came into my mind. I love my work. This was what you did. You worked. We loved it. We all did it together. We would have worked more if we could have. Mm-hmm. And then she said a very interesting thing. She said, but you had hope. Mm. And I did have hope. We all did have hope. We believed that if you worked hard, you were rewarded for it. And so this is the disconnect.
Something I commonly hear discussed amongst the older folk, Gen Z, boomers, especially back in my other jobs, I used to work with them, is that the younger generation is just so lazy. They're entitled. They have no really ambition. But that's the real problem, is there's no ambition. There's no hope. There's no look onward for tomorrow. There's nothing to look forward to. When you constantly open your phone, you see all these news headlines telling you how fucked we are, how much society is just going down, how there's no point to even look forward to the next election because there's not really anybody coming to save us. All the options you have coming don't really know what to do. Everybody's kind of in the same boat of like wallow and sorrow and misery. So you really break it down where it's like, why is there hope? Why would you have hope? And then you should be, looking for your peers, your elders, the people that should be coaching you into the right directions, but they're also struggling. Their 401ks aren't keeping them by. their social security checks are getting depleted. The government is constantly trying to threaten to take away everybody's money, when in reality, we all know we should not be living off the government to begin with. But the majority of us can't afford to live without any sort of help. So whether it's debt, the government assistance, whether it's living off of the work we hopefully have done through our whole lives, and it's hopefully compound interest stacked enough where we can live off it forever. But unfortunately, the way money works, the way inflation works, the way the economy works, they also almost like it's set up to fuck us no matter what you do, how hard you work, or what you plan for.
What if I don't want to participate? What if I don't want to pay taxes? I don't want a job. I don't want a mortgage. I don't even want a car. I just want to live. Why do we have to pay to live? I have to pay for water? I have to pay for water. Really? We're on a planet that's 72% water. I don't know if that's right. It's something like that. And I have to pay for water? If I drill into the ground, I have to pay a company to do it. Like, why don't we just... I don't know. It just is stupid. The way we're doing things is not very smart. And I know, like, we're advanced civilization. We're doing better than we used to. But are we? Are we? How many people are happy? How many people are fulfilled? How many people are happy with their lives, like, with what they're doing on a daily basis? Not many. I think we did it wrong. I think we went the wrong way. Maybe our technology advanced, but overall happiness, overall fulfillment has gone down. We went wrong somewhere. We went wrong.
I'm not really sure what you were thinking while listening to that, but I was thinking that pretty girl's making some pretty good points. And honestly, kind of looks like me as a girl. Hell, it just might be. But I really do want to mention how it's like boomers, Gen Xers, they hate to point out when these younger generations, people my age, they point out some good thoughts. Like, what is the point of this? What are you working towards? You have to buy water. The Earth's made up of water. Eventually, they're going to start charging it for air. I heard that there's, back in the day, they used to charge for sunlight. They used to have to charge to have windows, to have sunlight. I'm surprised they're not already charging for air. Maybe in, like, China, where, they have, like, weird air pollution, you know what I mean, for certain things, because there's so many overpopulated people. Maybe over there they could do that. But over here, it's coming eventually. Capitalism is the one type of system where no matter what they can do, if they can make a penny off of you, they're sure as hell going to try. And they kind of stack it up with the interest, but Americans are kind of starting to realize the interest is bullshit. We've been through that for a while. So what do you guys personally think? Do you think this is just a shitty system? We're always stuck being fucked? Or is there honestly a way out possibly in the end? Despite which generation you're from or how much money you don't have, I'd love to hear all your guys' thoughts, opinions down below in the comments, as well as any other topics you'd love to hear me touch on in the near future within my videos. A huge shout out to the handful of you guys checking out those links down below in the description. Those are always some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. Can be pumping out these videos and showing up daily. As well as I want to give a lot of acknowledgement to the handful of you guys just coming up and showing around here daily. Liking, commenting, subscribing definitely goes a long way, and they all add up. So God bless. Talk to you later. Bye.